Gerald, thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed one more time. I know you've done it so often during this time frame.
Absolutely.
But I'm wondering if you could just share a little bit with us. You have a very famous great-great-grandfather, and so therefore there's a lot of information out there about him.
Mm-hmm.
But I was wondering, could you share something with us that we may not know?
Not that's broadcastable. The thing about Dickens was he was an absolute celebrity in his own lifetime. So almost everything, every aspect of his life was well documented at the time. But I think the one thing that really comes down through the family is his immense energy. He was always on the go. He never rested. He was always doing something, whether it was writing or performing or visiting institutions or lecturing or writing political pamphlets or letter writing, which he seemed to do sort of every single hour of the day. It's an extraordinary amount of energy, and that's really the story that comes down through the family about him.
And it seems to me that with your schedule, you must have a lot of energy as well to keep it all going.
Well, in the performing of Dickens, yes, absolutely. And that almost comes from the innate energy that he put into the work. So you can't help but do them at 1,000 miles an hour because that's the way they're written. In between times, I don't have quite the same level of commitments that he had.
Oh, so then I would guess you've had some time to watch some of the film adaptations.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's great. So is there one that pops up for you that you like the best?
Do you know, of all Dickens novels? Or are we talking specifically Christmas
Well,
Carol?
I'm really interested in the film adaptations, because I know you have plenty of the novels that you're interested in.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah.
how about the film adaptations? Have you had a chance?
Of A Christmas Carol
Christmas
specifically?
Carol, yes, I'm
okay.
sorry.
Well, you see, they all do their own thing. They're all very successful. I think your benchmark is the 1951 Alistair Sim classic. That everything else goes from or beneath there because that is the classic telling of the story. I love George C. Scott as Scrooge. He's so powerful. He's so businesslike. And when you think about it, Scrooge was a very successful businessman in the leading economy in the world at that time. And his office isn't tucked away on the edge of London somewhere. It's right there in the heart of it. It'd be the equivalent of being on Wall Street in New York City. So you know, he must be a businessman. And George C. Scott plays him like that. Big, powerful, brash man. And I love that. Of course, the Muppets, you can't go far wrong with that, can you?
That's
it's
right.
a great telling of it. But even those, and especially with the Muppets, I do have a very soft spot for it because it uses whole chunks of Dickens' original text. Okay, you've got a green frog and a pig saying it, but you know, they do stick very, very closely to the book. So that's introducing wonderful literature and beautiful writing to a whole new generation, and it does it fantastically.
Well, that's really wonderful to know because certainly, I mean, I remember watching with Mr. Magoo when I was little, and that was first my introduction of it.
Exactly.
And so, of course, it's gone on from there, but it was really quite a wonderful story. So I'm really interested in another piece. I know that when you have to get ready for these performances, there's a lot of energy that goes into it. And from your knowledge, how do you think there were similarities or differences between what Charles had to do and what you need to do?
I think very similar. And you're right, there's so much energy that goes into the piece itself. Actually, the time leading up to it is very, very quiet. Funny enough, last night I was doing a show and I was sitting in the wings and I discovered myself falling off to sleep 5 minutes before the show. And that's a very important part of it. You just absolutely calm down because as soon as you get on stage and say, Marley was dead to begin with, boom, you're off a million miles an hour. And you've got an hour 20 minutes of absolute flat out energy. So it tends to be just nothing specific, no routines, but just very quiet, very calm.
And would you say that that's the same thing that leads you to have the strength and the energy to make this show fresh every time and the others that you do?
What makes it fresh is actually, I think, the relationship with the audience. And that's different every single time you do the show because it's a different audience. So you're always going to get something different. And these shows kind of rely on that relationship between the audience and me. So that's what is exciting because you never know quite what it's going to be. You stand up on that stage, you said that opening line. It will be completely different to last night. It'll be completely different to tomorrow. And it's a new adventure every time. And that's what keeps it fresh for me.
Excellent. So you've done a lot this year.
Oh, boy.
It's the 200th year anniversary, so there's so many different things that are going on, a lot of different energies going everywhere. So tell me, is there one thing that stands out for you or one event that was wonderful?
Well, it was a very, very special event. And it was on Valentine's Day, my date on Valentine's Day. I was with the Queen of England in Buckingham Palace at a reception to honour Charles Dickens. And okay, I was there with 600 other people, so it wasn't a terribly exclusive date, but it was an amazing event and really brought home just how great an influence Charles Dickens has had on British society and how much Britain still really cherishes his memory and wanted to honour him. That was very special.
It's a really incredible history. I mean, not many people can say that, so it's really quite wonderful. And to be able to share all these pieces as we go forward is even greater. So just one last question, really. I mean, I know you've been really busy this year. What about next year? Anything on the horizon?
I'm writing a couple of new shows for next year. One is going to be based on Great Expectations, which is my favourite Dickens novel. So I'm working on a show, one-man show based on that at the moment. So that's going to be the big project for next year.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.